all set up and ready to go. All right, so hello everyone and welcome back to Dyson Sphere program. Let's click resume and then get into it. So when we last left off, we had gone to another nearby planet to get something or other. What was it? Silicon or something. And we had died in the process. Dark Fog apparently has a giant base in the middle, which we flew right past while trying to get back. So, that's not ideal. So this time around, we are going to be trying to make that trip again, basically. So first of all, the amount of combustible units that we had last time was like barely enough to get us there and back in a reasonable time frame. So we're going to grab more of those. The rest of our inventory we can honestly leave empty, hopefully. Instructions for cruise control. What is this? Cruise mode. You can unlock the mouse by pressing the tab key. And you speed up or slow down by doing stuff and things. And yeah, so that's... we basically figured all that stuff out already. Spray coater and proliferator. So you put them on a conveyor belt, put proliferator in, and then it produces extra products and more speed, but takes more power. Okay, so that is fine. So any raw material that does not gain the proliferator points during production, the entire production will not deliver extra products or be sped up. Obtain extra products from a production process. Make sure that each raw material gains a proliferator point. Then select the extra products effect for the corresponding production facility. Okay. So that is all fine. And distribution logistics system guide. The logistics distributor can only distribute items to or collect items from Icarus. That's me. Just switch the distribution to that. And okay, these two lines just contradict each other, so that's brilliant. So can they only distribute items to or collect items from Icarus, or can they distribute items to each other? Who can say? So you just put filters and okay, yeah, we might have to spend more time looking at that a bit later, but for now we're mostly worried with getting our silicon set up. So now we have 170 combustible units, which should be enough fuel to get to that other planet and back. Now, let's see here. Is there anything we need to do? It might be beneficial to just put a box in there for when I return. So, because that's up there is where we're going to be putting the silicon supply. So let's grab our stack of boxes
Flight mode.
And run over here. And yeah, we definitely need more silicon input, because even with all of these guys, it's still nowhere near enough. So we're gonna just put a box there, and then we're gonna have to give it. I used to not having anything at all in my inventory. We're gonna have to go back here to find some loaders. Like, how about some of those? And then we can run back over here so that that box can unload onto the belt where the silicon ore goes. And logistics, sorters, just like that. Okay, so now, if we had anything to put into that, then it would be great. But we don't, so let's check the star map. So we need to check to see if the stupid hive is in exactly the right spot. So it was this the place we were going to? Yes, you can tell because the silicon ore is going down a little bit. So we set the indicator there. The hive is currently on the other side of the solar system.
Flight mode.
So hopefully it remains like that.
Cruise mode.
And we don't tragically die again. Okay, so we are on our way. We need to throw the combustible units in. And now we just keep on moving and hope that the space hive doesn't just run into us while we're doing this. And hopefully there'll be a reasonable amount of silicon there that we won't have to come back in like another 5 minutes. Guess we'll have to find that out. So over we go. And okay, ETA of 14 seconds apparently. And I don't know how much we need to slow down before impact, but let's slow down to like below 100 probably. And we're going to need to find where we built that mine.
Cruise ended.
Okay, so we've landed successfully. Now dark fog is up to the north. And okay, yeah, so they're on the opposite side of the planet from me. And my mine is there. Where am I? Okay, so we need to head this way, I think. And we don't have much power currently to do this. Oh, I think I can see, yes, on the map. I can barely see some little blue dots. Yeah, and there are the wind turbines. So we're basically there now. We just have to walk over there and get into the box. And hopefully there will be plenty of silicon here. And, alright, so here we are. We can fast recharge the mech here. And we can grab... Okay, why is my inventory not popped up? So we can grab most of an inventory's worth of silicon. And then we stop into here and spend a little bit charging up. And we need to go to the star map and find our little home moon thing over there. And the hive is still on the other side of the solar system, so we should be okay. We've got plenty of fuel. We've got 71 in there and another 70 out here. So that should get us fully restocked in time. And the power here is not great because it's just like it's like 4 wind turbines. Apparently, while we're charging here, we'd probably need something like 8 wind turbines, which we could do. We could certainly do that. But that'll have to be for a future trip when I actually have supplies in my inventory. And how fast does that hive orbit, by the way? Okay, so it's like up there and getting closer, it looks like. So we don't have like an infinite amount of time to get off this planet. Can grab the rest of the silicon that's just been mined while I'm sitting here. And did I set up... Yes, I did set up the whole targeting thing. So, I don't know what's happened to... Oh, I'm still in planet view, so I need to go down to this view. Alright. Surely this time we will make it back safely.
Cruise mode.
So off we go. And we're going to accelerate as fast as we can. And just try to get there before the hive finishes its orbit or whatever. We just need to be careful about that. Just need to go quickly and then it should be fine. Should be basically there at this point. And we're just going to need to, again, land at the part of the planet which I actually want to be going to, which I have no idea where that is. So dark fog is there, so we're just going to try to land opposite of it. And
Cruise ended.
okay, so it turns out you can land incredibly quickly, and it's fine. We almost ran out of power, by the way. So we're going to have to like walk around this pond because flying over it is going to take more power than we have. So I think there's some science we can do there, which if we get all the items for it, we can make the fuel chamber burn faster. So let's just grab the logs for that, since we don't exactly have an automated way of grabbing those anyways. I have to grab them manually, might as well do that here. Alright, just a couple more trees. And that's enough logs. The other items we have in significant quantities back at the base. So we just need to get there, and then we can start doing this research. And unfortunately, walking is very slow.
Flight mode.
Basically there. Yeah, so flight mode drains power, so we can't do this indefinitely, but here we are. We're in the base, and we have a manual charging port over here, which we can use real quick just to give us a bit more power. Alright, that's nice and good. And we are charging pretty fast, especially because we're also burning fuel at the same time. So that should be enough, at least for now. We can fly over here and then deposit this extra silicon. So there we go. And then we also need that to be two-floored and have even more silicon. So that is all set up now. And now let's just stand here while I figure out what we need to do next. So we need to grab coal and energized graphite to get this research done. And then we need to figure out what we can do with all this extra silicon that we have now. So let's start by flying over this way again, where our coal and graphite is. So we can grab the graphite off of these belts. And there we have it. Grab the coal off of this belt. And we need a little bit more of it. There we go. So that is everything needed for the manual research. And that amount of fuel storage worked perfectly fine. Okay, so now we have to run around and start picking items up again so that we can start doing proper building. So let's grab some belts. Let's grab some assemblers and some Mark 1 sorters, which I don't know why it closed my inventory when I tried to do that. Okay, now let's get over here for the splitters. And we can pick up some wind turbines and smelters and Tesla towers. What else is there? Probably a bunch of stuff down this way which we're going to need. Yes, we've got those guys. We already picked up the boxes. We can get more oil refineries. And we can run down here to grab some foundations. We have the sorters. Grab the science buildings. Head over here to grab some solar panels. And let's see, is that just about everything? So we're missing thermal power plants, which I don't think we ever automated, and accumulators, which we definitely didn't automate. We're missing water pumps and mining machines. And I don't think we ever made tier 2 belts. No, I think we did. Okay, we finished that upgrade, so that should be fine. Now, what else can we do from here? We can get another construction drone task upgrade. That doesn't seem very important, though. Let's get, see, just like some random titanium smelting probably is going to be useful at some point. Okay, so did we ever make tier 2 belts? We have, these are regular belts plus these engine-y things. And we have both of those individually, so it should be fine. So we need iron plates and gear wheels to make belts. Unless we have the belts nearby. So those are iron plates. Are there gear wheels anywhere in this vicinity? I don't see them. But that is fine because we can just make all of those individually. So step 1, can we just like get some of these trees out of the way so I can see this properly, and I can also just move to a better angle for it, like more overhead.
Research.
So, alright, we have titanium. Very cool. So let's get rid of all that.
Data shows there aren't any natural titanium veins on this planet.
Put
You can obtain some titanium ores by collecting gravel. If you need a large amount of
Connect
titanium,
all that stuff
find a
across.
planet with titanium veins as soon as possible.
Okay. So, we now have a new iron belt, which we can bring out this way. And that is just going to be going over here. So now we just have to turn some of the irons into gear wheels. And you get an assembly machine. And that goes like there. So the assembly machine is going to be making gear wheels, which just goes like that. And then we need a Tesla tower in this area. So now we have iron plates and gear wheels, which means we can make our tier 1 belts. And we just have to get that hooked up. And you go in like that. And then we take the tier 1 belts, we put them on a belt. And that belt needs to get down this way somewhere. And it's going to need to have the output onto it. Alright, then we just need to grab some of these guys. And they're going to need to be dismantled. And then they get a splitter. And then they get reattached. Like that. And then finally we get a new assembly machine. And you are going to make tier 2 belts, which, are they just twice as fast? Yes, they're exactly twice as fast. So you get fed tier 1 belts, and you get fed these fancy engine motor things, whatever they're called. And then that just outputs into a box, like so. And it looks like we actually need that sorter to be upgraded in order for this to get enough belts. And it also looks like we need that sorter to be upgraded in order to output enough belts. Okay, and then we can limit that to like 2 stacks. So who needs more than that? And now we've got tier 2 belt production going. So that should be fine. Obviously a bit more expensive than tier 1 belts, but not a huge issue. Okay, so what other research is there to do? There's photon frequency conversion. Is high-speed assembly possible? It's an upgraded assembler. We can get upgraded proliferators. We can get fractionators. Okay, battlefield analysis base is incredibly cheap and probably useful for not dying to dark fog in some capacity. Oh, I believe at some point we were in the process of trying to make accumulators when we got distracted by having almost no silicon, right? So we needed to make accumulators for power storage. So we start with this. So that is making those little silicon crystal things. And then the silicon crystal combines with iron ingots and supermagnetic rings, which are here and there. And that should make us accumulators. So we just need to build this in a way which gets all those things. So you go to there. You output to that. Okay, battlefield analysis base unlocked. Alright. Tutorial, what does this do? A battlefield analysis base acts as a control center during combat and supports Icarus in many ways. It's equipped with a built-in construction module with 10 construction drones. After the construction module has been activated, the base will automatically analyze the demand for construction and repair within its range. And responsible will send construction drones to construct or repair. You may set the priorities of the construction module. In balance mode, it will be evenly assigned to construction or repair tasks. You may also set it to prioritize construction or prioritize repair. Debris analysis is another function of the battlefield analysis base. When defeated, Dark Fog may drop rewards. If auto pickup is enabled, the base will automatically pick up all rewards and trash in its range. Alternatively, you may set a filter in the base's storage to control the items to be picked up. A large depot can be built vertically above the base for more storage space, and you can also put a logistics distributor vertically above the large depot. After auto construction has been unlocked, you can analyze the nearby remains of friendly buildings and mark them for reconstruction. As long as the corresponding items are stored in the base will be able to send construction drones to reconstruct them, and they can also perform combat tasks. After a prototype has been unlocked, you'll be able to deploy a squadron. Neat. Alright, so let's research that, because it's also relatively cheap. Alright, so now back to what we were doing already. You get those silicon crystals connected up. You get the accumulator recipe. And then we just have to somehow get this belt around and into here. And that is incredibly scuffed, but it works. And so you should now be capable of producing all of those and then outputting them into a box, which that one's too close. So let's move that a step back and then give you one of those. Alright, so you can then store a couple of those. And our power grid is basically completely capped out as is. And yeah, it's actually just flickering now. So we're going to need to increase power, so we can grab some of those accumulators. How much do they store? They can store 540 megajoules, which is a lot, right? Hopefully that's gonna last us a long time. So now we just fly over here, and we are going to land here by this giant solar block here. And first, we add way more solar panels in. So, we're going to need the foundation as well. So this whole area can get foundationed. And I wish there was a good, reliable way of figuring out when this would be good enough.
You've unlocked prototype. This prototype is the origin of combat drones. It follows and assists Icarus in combat.
Okay.
Before dispatching combat drones, in the mecha map, you can choose which type of combat drones to be deployed for each squadron, and ensure there are sufficient combat drones in the hangar. Combat drones will automatically attack enemies by default. You can also dispatch them with the combat interface.
Fun. I assume we're going to have to craft those, though?
To give more specific orders to combat drones, press Z to enter the combat interface. You'll gain command of each fleet.
Alright.
You can manually assign where you want them to be.
Seems very complicated, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. So now those are all in, and now we can just squeeze in some accumulators in various places as well.
An accumulator is a power storage facility. It will store surplus power in the power grid. When there's not enough power supply, stored power will be automatically released to operate the facility. It can also cope with short-term surges
So now we've
in
got
power
those.
consumption, especially a surge caused by laser towers.
Alright, so now we've got all of these guys, and they are charging, and hopefully that should solve the problem. So now we have accumulators charging, and even at nighttime when all that solar capacity goes away, hopefully hopefully we'll be able to deal with it. So the fact that it's charging even now, when the generation capacity is dropping off, is pretty good. So we have some wind turbines at night, but it's mostly solar power at this point, I think, or at least very close. Okay, so yeah, now we're discharging. Not that much though, it's still very close. So it should be fine. And then we obviously have way more solar panels and accumulators that we can build over time as that continues to go up. Okay, now this belt here is empty. What is this belt supposed to be carrying? So we follow this back and it goes under here. And it's just completely empty, like actual 0 items on it. Okay, it is the circuit boards. So, what is there something going wrong with the circuit boards, or are they just slow? Okay, so you are not outputting fast enough. So you get that. And you might even need like a second one. Yeah, let's just get you a second sorter Mark II. So now this is definitely unloading at full speed. And it is also producing at full speed. So that should be fine. And now it's just at a steady pace. Alright, so we're probably going to need more circuit boards, basically. And I believe we have them, right? This belt here is a circuit board belt, which I believe we are not otherwise using, aside from this science. Okay, so let's try to connect this up, and you go all the way up there. Okay, how about you do that without colliding with other objects, though? Alright, so you go all the way up there, and then we need you to gain some height and combine up with this. So if we have you go up to there, then that won't work, but it almost works. So how about we bring you back and you need to just stay up. It's very difficult to control. Like it wants to snap into that belt when I actually just want it to rest on top of it. So I guess we have to do that. And then that. Okay, so then this belt down here, you just need to go around like that, maybe. And then that will allow this to... No, not there. That then goes down. Alright. We've done it. And that should provide plenty of green circuits. Unless things go horribly wrong. But we've got 2 more buildings over here. And are these 2 buildings running at full speed? Actually, they can probably afford to have their outputs upgraded. So there we go. And they need more iron plates, because of course they do. What doesn't need more iron plates? So these are not getting enough iron ore, which is Okay, that plus that really doesn't look like it adds up to this. So we can upgrade this belt with higher tier belts. So we can just grab... I think we already had those, but it's fine. So we can chain upgrade all of that. And now this belt should be able to feed enough iron into these to keep them happy. Alright, and we need to be doing science at the same time. So let's do... That's like a bunch of red science. I don't know. Let's just get some random research done. And how is our defensive setup here? I believe because we're up to like 65% threat. So we need to start worrying about how to not get exploded by dark fog. So we have this. Alright, we had missile turrets unlocked. We have battlefield analysis base unlocked, which
Insufficient materials.
I imagine we can't just do because we don't have like any crafting materials on us at the moment. Alright, so this setup here is good. Where are they? They're like way over there. So I think last time they had partially attacked from this direction and partially from this direction. So let's find some more turrets and some more ammo. So fly over here. Are those assemblers or turrets? Those are assemblers. Okay. So we've got that research. Let's just zoom out and see, like, so this whole row of researches is done, right? Which means that our next step would just be this whole row of researches, I guess. So let's do photon frequency conversion. That's part of the main quest, apparently. Alright, so let's also just grab some ammo boxes just for ourselves so that we have those in case we need to shoot some stuff. Now, where is... I know we had turret automation somewhere. I haven't the faintest idea where that was, though. And we might have dismantled it, although I don't think we did. I thought it was in this area. Yeah, I thought it was in this area, but it might not have existed. We might have been doing it manual. Or maybe it's down here? Let's see here. Just doing a quick fly around to see if we can spot it.
Research complete.
I don't see anything. Alright. So we've gotten that research done. And we're not going to immediately do anything with that. We're just going to get applied superconductor. Hooray for random researches, which are probably helpful for something, but I don't know what. Alright, let's get some Gauss turrets just manually crafted. So we need iron plates, gear wheels, green circuits, and fancy loopy things. So grab some circuit boards. Looks like we're low on magnetic coils. So that is going to need an upgrade. How many of those do we need to make a gun turret? Just 4, so let's grab like 8 and plan on making 2. And then we just need... Oh, that's not iron plates. That's glass. Where are the dang iron plates? Where are the iron plates? Here they are. So we just grab a bunch of those. Might as well pick up some gears as well. So now we can craft up some of these. Get 2 more Gauss turrets. And we're going to plan on putting them over this way. So we can go Gauss turret. We have one there. Now we have one here. And we have one there. And hopefully that will be enough. Just like light coverage of basically the entire area that we need. We're going to need a splitter for this to be convenient. So the splitter goes in like that. And then that all connects up, and this belt goes forwards and into there. So this whole belt has to get built. And we need to power up the turret.
Rare ores are distributed on different planets. Collecting rare ores and putting them into industrial production will greatly improve production efficiency.
Alright, so that is built. We just need to get this chunk back here in. And then that will get the ammo up to this turret. And then we just need to bring this belt along and over to that way. And then get that turret powered up. And that should be like the entire north side covered by turrets. And hopefully we don't need to cover the south side as well, because that would make it kind of difficult just to expand everything out. But hopefully that will not be an issue. If it is an issue, then that will be unfortunate. For now, we have what is hopefully good enough coverage, and then if we need more turrets, if we need more dense turret coverage, then we'll need to automate them. But hopefully just like this super sparse coverage is going to be good enough. Okay, so we need to figure out what we're doing next. And at some point soon, we need to be thinking about doing a complete redesign, because like this current setup is very, very just spaghetti-ish and terrible. So having some order and organization in here would certainly help. So are there any so the proliferators are probably actually, it would be cool if our redesign used Proliferator Mark II for everything. I don't know how practical that'll be. And also high-speed assembly. So we probably don't need solar sail stuff yet. That seems overly fancy. And then all of this stuff requires new types of science, which we don't have, and I actually just don't even know how to unlock. So that also requires high-tech science. Then this is all polymer stuff. And down here is the combat-related stuff, which hopefully we don't need to worry about as much. Hopefully dark fog won't be enough of a threat that we need to massively upgrade combat soon. Combat drones and fleets. So after a corvette is unlocked, space fleets can be deployed. Warships and space fleets can be commanded to assist Icarus in space combat. So that's at some point we need to figure out space combat so that we can not die to the space hive, but I don't know how much we can actually do about that. Okay, so I noticed earlier that these magnetic coils were getting low. So, is there a problem with that here? You aren't getting enough magnets, and that's because there's just 2 of these. So we can do some improvements here, but ultimately I think
Light mode.
just getting this magnetic coil source looped into something useful will be a better long-term solution. Also, it looks like the ammunition is a little bit low, so hopefully that can just continue to fill up and it won't be an issue. So how do we get this coil out up to there? Is that at all possible? Can't imagine how we would ever do that, to be honest. Seems unlikely. Okay, yeah, that's just gonna be that's just gonna have to be something that we deal with in our redesign. Now, do we want to do a main bus? So we're thinking about redesigning things. Do we want to do a main bus? Probably yes. That would probably help a lot. The question becomes then, like, how much do we have on the bus? Do we have every individual item? Probably not. Do we have just raw resources? Also, probably not. So the problem is, like, we've got a bunch of things which we need to do. Now, okay, actually what are those things? The replicators? The spray coater and the replicator? Proliferators. So we want some convenient way of getting proliferator onto just about everything. And how do you even make proliferator? Oh, we also need to get logistics bots set up. That's going to be hugely valuable. So, the proliferator is here, and that is just straight up coal. And that produces 12.5% extra products, which is pretty neat. Now we're about to get Proliferator Mark II, and we'll have to see what that is. Now, how is the power grid? Like, how much storage do we have? We actually are still charging even right now at nighttime. Not sure where the power is coming from. I guess those wind turbines are doing more work than I thought they were. And energy accumulated seems to be more than enough. So that should be fine. And there we go. I guess also if we just... the more spread out the solar panels are, the more frequently they'll be in daytime, which will also reduce the need for accumulators anyways. So that is something that you can do in this game that you can't do in, like, Factorio, for example. And eventually, of course, we'll have solar panels in orbits around space and stuff, and it won't even matter, but... Alright, Proliferator Mark II is even better than Proliferator Mark I. And that is Proliferator Mark I plus diamonds. And diamonds are energized graphite. Okay, so the first thing which we're going to need in order to do this, we're going to need spray coaters. So we're going to need to get steel plates, energized thingamabobs, green circuits, and micro components or whatever they're called. So I believe we have a good number of those down this way, right? We've got micro components are there. The what all was it? Where's this thing? Spray coater. Spray coater, where are you? There you are. So we need steel plates, the little energy cell things. What are these called? Plasma exciters. So steel plates, plasma exciters, green circuits, and the micro components. Microcrystalline components. So we have green circuits there, microcrystalline components there. We have, what is that? That's iron ore input. Green circuits there. Are steel plates in anywhere in here? I'm pretty sure they are somewhere. Okay, so the energized circuits are there, and the steel plates are here. Okay, so we're gonna have to get all those guys out. And that will be a little bit tricky. But you can do something like that to get out. And then the steel can go over here. Now that is available. And it looks like we're going to need dramatically more steel. But that's fine. So we just have to set up the microcrystalline components are not designed well to get out of this tiny little area. So let's move that box. Can we just put it like there? Hopefully that will work. So then that setup can be made. And that can all be dismantled. And now we have space here for the microcrystalline components, which are going to go out that way. And then we have the green circuits, which, I mean, there's gotta be like a most convenient place to grab those from. We've unlocked Assembly Machine Mark IIs, by the way. Those will be helpful at some point. Okay, so next up, just sort of doing random researches just to get them done at this point. Alright, so the green circuits have to come out this way. And can we get these out immediately? No, because of the place that I've put the new solar panel box. Brilliant. Good job, me. And so we're just gonna dismantle you. We're gonna have to remove that Tesla tower. And now you can go there. That gets powered up. That gets limited properly. And then that power gets reconnected. Okay, now our green circuits should be able to escape out like this. And there we go. The belt dragging thing really is not very good at actually dragging the belts the way a human would ever possibly want them to. Like, it doesn't even default to a legal path. It just defaults to like the first path it thinks of, whether it's legal or not, which is kind of inconvenient. I don't know why I grabbed this building out of the inventory instead of from the build menu. That's fine. So we get these all belted in. You are going to be making spray coaters. And you're going to be powered up. like that. And then we have these other two inputs over here, which come in like that and like that. And then we can just super lazily connect them in like that. And we can get a storage output just over here somewhere. And limit the number of items in that box. And we should be all set up and ready to go. So that has its items going in. Now I can't help but notice you are short on magnetic coils. Right, so that was just a problem which I'd noticed earlier, which there's not that much that we can do about, to be honest. It sort of is what it is. So yeah, no magnetic coils anywhere to be found, which means basically nothing that gets constructed with magnetic coils as well. And we can like try to squeak out a little bit more from here, but there's not that much that can be done about it. So we've got this belt here. It's not in a good place to escape. I guess we can barely make it out like that. And then drag it up this way. And then up to here. Alright, I think this will be like barely possible. Maybe not, actually. Alright, so we need you to like go back a little bit and then do some really awkward twisting to get around there. And then you need to go out to there, come up this way, and then around to here, and then somehow, okay, well no, I think I figured this out. So then you go down to ground level there, then this belt goes, this belt has to go out, and you need to ramp up, go across up there for a little bit, and then come back down. And now this belt of magnetic coils can get attached into there, and that should provide 2 more buildings worth of magnetic coils, which should keep this whole thing running just a little bit longer. But it's still not ideal. It's still like just pretty terrible all around as far as getting resources for anything. Okay, and then we can eat one of those into there. And what researches do we have that we actually might want? Titanium crystal, that seems silly. Let's look in the upgrade tab. Okay, we can make the mech move faster if we find... Is that these guys? We need to get like 60 of them. I don't know if we have 60 of them right now, but we can grab 27 of them. And then just keep on grabbing from this belt. How long is this going to be? This is going to take like a full minute. So that is awkward. And then some of these guys also need them, which they're currently not getting because we're doing this. But that's fine. So at some point soon, we're very, very near to the point where we're going to be dismantling all of this, or maybe not dismantling it, but certainly not going to be using it anymore because we're going to be swapping to a much better designed system, hopefully. And that will also include drones, so that's going to be the next thing. So we need the ability to make logistics distributors and stuff, which should help us out a lot. All right, so now that's all we need for that. So that research is going, and we need to make logistics distributors, and we need to make logistics bots. So that is engines, iron plates, and computer chip things. What are these? Processors. And these are iron plates, plasma exciters, and processors. So we have plasma exciters here. We have processors here, which basically just go out onto a short belt and do nothing. The plasma exciters there. Alright, the mech moves faster now. That's cool. And we can make it do that again. And we have a couple other similar upgrades that we can do as well. And, okay, so threat is up to 97%. So, we have ammo boxes for the Icarus, and we have our gun turrets along the area where we expect them to attack from, so it should be fine. In theory, it should be fine. Okay, and we are actually discharging a significant amount of energy just now. Probably for charging the mech is a big portion of that, but it seems like we're doing fine. So now we're back into charging the accumulators. Alright, so that's all good. Anyways. We need plasma exciters, we need iron plates, and we need processors. So the processors and plasma exciters are both there. Iron plates are up there, so this shouldn't be terribly difficult if we can get these out. So we just need to sort of zigzag you along a little bit. And that's plasma exciters. Check. Then we get the processors out as well. So plasma exciters check, processors check, iron plates are over here, and that'll be enough for you. And then we just need to also get engines, and that will be enough for logistics bots. So the engines, I remember, were sort of inconveniently all the way up here. And threat is up to 99.9, and it's conveniently auto-saved just now, so that's cool, I guess.
Dark fog cluster is launching an assault.
Yep, it sure is. So it says 22 units incoming. I think that's significantly more than it has been in the past. Currently, they're all coming this way. Currently, they're all coming in from this direction.
Upgrade complete.
Okay, now we're extra fast. That's cool. Can't get better vein utilization. Let's get vertical construction. That's a research that we have. Okay, so we have... Let's throw some combustible units in the fuel chamber so that we don't have to worry about running out of gas while we're doing this. And they should be coming in any second now. Yeah, we can see them over the horizon. And they are seemingly spreading across this whole area, which is good for us because that means they're exposed to more of our gun turrets, right? And oh boy,
Flight mode.
these guys definitely came in from a little bit wider in that direction than I was expecting, which is not ideal. Okay, now there's just this one last guy up here. And problem solved. Now we just repair that.
Flight mode.
And now I think we just run around and like pick up the loot, right? Okay, so where is all the loot even? I wish there was some way of highlighting the exact location. I don't know. We'll find it eventually. We'll find it eventually. Just sort of we'll randomly just stumble across it at some point, probably. Alright, so with that done, now we just need to grab these engines and get them out of this horrible mess that they're in. So they need to come out this way, and then all the way over to here, and then up and just straight up over those machines. And then they can drop back down after that. And we have to get all this stuff built before we can do more. And my camera is rotated the other direction from how I normally have it, so let's swap that around. And we get all of these guys in. Okay, so engines now going out to there. And iron plates are out here, which, if we just push that belt back a little bit, then ramp you up and then back down, that should be everything that we need. So we get an assembly machine. You are going to be making logistics distributors, so you need iron plates and both of these guys. So let's just get those belts wrapped around here. And then they all line up. And that should be connected in properly. And now we just need to finish off these belts. It's getting its iron plates. Now the rest of those belts can go in. And that should give us a depot with logistics distributors in them. Then we have another one of you just over here, and you get to make the bots themselves, which are iron plates, engines, and processors. So we take the processors. We need to get the iron plates across there, which is thankfully easy. Iron plates, check. Then we bring the engines along this way. And those go in, and then we can get a depot for them. Okay, so let's make sure to limit these appropriately before anything crazy happens. And then we get a Tesla tower. And that is logistics bots all assembled. So now we can take those and just pop them onto there and
You've
there.
built your first logistics distributor. You can now deliver items to the inventory. Set the items you need in the logistics list to the left of the inventory, and the logistics
This
bots
is
will transport
logistics
the
instead of
items from the
logistics.
depot to
Is that
Icarus.
just a weird
If
accent
you build
thing?
multiple logistics
Am I the one with the weird
distributors,
accent?
They can deliver
Who
items
knows?
between each other as well. Each distributor has a delivery range. If a task is out of range, it will not be executed.
Okay. So yeah, that is basically I expect it to work. So, step 1 is we need to take some of these and so first of all we need to have those, and we want to have, is there some way of just typing this? There's got to be some way of typing this, right? I don't know. We might have to just drag things around. Okay, so then we get distributors, and we can then have like 25 to 50 of those. Okay, now we need to give you some of those, give you some of those, and then this. Okay, I know this probably doesn't need to be providing to other distributors. I don't think that makes sense. Okay, so currently both of those boxes are empty. We need more processors, it looks like. So, what is wrong with the processors? And will I ever learn to stop hitting escape too many times? So processors aren't getting enough of these. And these are just running as usual. So that is purely just a speed thing, which we could theoretically solve with assembly machine 2s, but that seems difficult. So we might just have to tough it out and accept that it's going to be very slow. So how many of these, like if we go into here, you need 1 processor each. You need 4 processors each. And we have 18 logistics distributors, 15 logistics bots. Alright, so that's pretty cool. So now we can just sort of run around and start placing these on things. So we can get belts and I don't know what else, because we don't have like an infinite amount of logistics slots that we can use, so we just sort of want to get like the main things which we use tons of, like belts, like the logistics materials like belts and stuff, not like, you know, that one machine that we use one time. So yeah, like we don't really need power related things on here, and we currently don't need fuel related things on here, although that might change. Like, let's get loaders in. Alright, so let's add in belts. 300 to... there's gotta be a better way of doing this. There simply must be a better way of doing this. So we have belts, we have sorters, and the problem is like all the numbers we want here are incredibly low. So like it's incredibly annoying to do. And you also all need to receive drones to actually do the job.
Upgrade complete.
Alright. Vertical construction upgrade done. Cool.
You've unlocked the vertical construction technology. When building facilities such as matrix labs, depots, and storage tanks,
Alright, so
you can try to build them
this row
upwards,
here.
making more efficient use of space.
So this row here, we can do like half of them. Let's get construction drone flight speed upgraded. That'll be nice. The fact that these drones are just real slow is kind of annoying. There's got to be some way of like automatically putting drones in all of them. Ah, yes, automatically deploy transport devices. So that's a button which we can use. So we can click on that for all of these. And then hopefully it'll all get sorted out. Okay, control panel. There is like a bigger version here. So we can do that. And let's see here. So we need to get bots out to like all of these guys basically. And we need to finish up getting requests in for all of those. So that is in. And what else? What else was there? I feel like there was one other thing. Oh, splitters, right. So we want to have a good couple of splitters on us as well. And that should be all set up if we can get them all going. So now if we just have enough logistics bots, then that will eventually work. And the problem is right now, like the vast majority of our processors are going into these guys, into the logistics distributors themselves. But that should get fixed eventually. Okay, now this here, it's got 50 of them, right? Yeah, it's got 50, and that's probably enough. Now, there should be some technology in here for... Okay, so the more logistics lines requires more technology, which I don't have yet. So let's just... I don't even know where the next, like, type of science even is in this whole tech tree. Like, I don't even know where I'm going for that. Oh, structure matrix. Here it is. So it's past high strength crystal. So let's get that, and then we probably won't actually do that for a while because we've got a lot of stuff to do before then. Because we want to start thinking about redesigning this whole thing. So let me think. We want to have the replicator stuff on like absolutely everything, right? Proliferator, because that's like 20% extra products. So we need to get diamonds, which are just 1-to-1 from graphite. So that shouldn't really be that difficult. And that whole Proliferator Mark II so far is just like one step up from coal, right? So we turn the coal into Proliferator Mark I. We turn the coal into graphite into diamonds to get Proliferator Mark II. So that should be pretty manageable, assuming we have a new factory which is well designed. And do we want to just like start building that somewhere else? Like if we just start building this down here closer to the equator, that would be nice. We're pretty far north as it is. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe that's something to consider. Is there any other stuff, like, I don't know, any other production stuff which we have been ignoring? We can do battlefield analysis bases. Those aren't super helpful. We can do hollow beacons. Those aren't super helpful, I don't think. I guess they would be handy for finding the base from space, probably. Chemical plants, I don't even know what things go in there. Water pump, I don't think water serves any purpose just yet. It probably will eventually, but right now I think it does basically nothing. Okay, so yeah, I think we're probably at a point of just working to redesign the base while science just cooks away. So let's just like run down here somewhere out of the way around the equator. Right, that makes sense. So we're down here. I guess we don't really care how close resources are to it, because we're going to be bringing them in from super far away anyways. So we head down here, and okay, if we check at this. So the equator is apparently here. Apparently this spot I'm standing on now is like the exact equator. So that would be a reasonable place to start this. Maybe a little bit south of the equator, since my existing factory is a little bit north of it. So we head down here, and we need to... Okay, so we can bury veins with foundation, so we don't need to worry about building over those. We can just ignore them. So if our thing is set up, so we have like, we probably want multiple belts of iron, copper, coal. So we probably want 2 belts of each raw resource, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. The problem is just designing stuff. Like, having to design something that we're theoretically is going to be used for the long term is kind of stressful, because like you just have to get it right the first time, otherwise you're in serious trouble. So if we're doing this as a main bus, the first thing we need to do is work out how to get items off of it, which maybe... So if we have a splitter like this, right, then if we have a splitter like that, then we can take the items out of the top row and no problem, just do something like that. So that works pretty nicely, and it means we don't have to put spacing in to our lanes. So that's cool. And then the other thing is the... Oh, I need to run and... I need to grab spray coaters. It'd be nice if you could do this like in Factorio, where you just plop down blueprints for stuff, and then it doesn't matter whether you actually have the resources for it yet. It just works. Alright, we're just going to yoink 50 spray coaters, and then go back to what we were doing. So we head down here. Okay, so what we want is just a way of just spray coating super efficiently. So these can also just snap onto belt lanes and not take up extra space. And then I would assume that, yes, the coder itself comes out and goes up through the top. Now, if I happened to have like this whole thing going along like that, right? Then is it if I just have that go in and they go all the way across to all of these. Alright, so the drone flight speed is upgraded. So this, the spray coating is actually relatively easy in terms of just getting it all on there in the first place. So the trick then is going to be that each of our rows of items is going to need to be recoded. So what we need to do is, like, we have some row of assembly machines, right? You know, something like this, making some ingredient that we need. So then this, we would go like that, and then back up like this. And so then it would need to get onto the main bus. You would need to get onto the main bus and then be recoded. So we would need something, we would need a coder like here would be ideal, right? So we have a coder in there, and then all of these would be going forwards. Oh, but we would need some space for the coder, so we couldn't have that in because we need all the items to be on this before we have the coder. So then this also needs to be a little bit further back from the main line itself because it needs to get up and out. So you would be like, actually, what's the smallest space that we can get up? So like that isn't enough. But like that is fine. So yeah, this does work. So you connect up like that, and now whatever item this is will immediately get coded again. And I guess if we have this as a nice stable line where this basically is going to go all the way out to the other side and then down and onto the bus, like something like that, then if we run just our belt of spray coating along this way at altitude 1, then it can just grab all of these with no problems. And then hopefully that will be good enough. So then it's just a question of like how much throughput we need for all this, right? And how do we make sure that things remain expandable? So if we have too many, if we don't have enough iron ore, for example, and that gets smelted down 100% of it, and then we don't have enough iron plates because we don't have enough iron ore, in order to get more, once this belt was fully saturated, we would need to run another layer like up here. So it would need to be, this is so annoyingly hard to line up properly because it just wants to snap to ground level. But it would be something like this, and then we could like have the secondary line then, instead of going off like that, you could just into there, for example, and so then we could have one full belt going down this way and one full belt going across, and it would all be fine, probably. And that's actually one step higher than it even needs to be. Like, we could do this at just level 2, right? So if we had, so level 1 obviously doesn't work because the coders are there. Level 2, you can go up just over the coders, and then can we get a second lane of coders onto here? Yes, we absolutely can. Okay, so that's good. Now, I don't think we need that. We don't need to do that yet, because currently we don't have that sort of limitation, but it would be nice to know about when that limitation eventually comes up. And then as far as the items we put on this, it's got to be just the items, right? Like buildings, we're just going to not have on the bus, and then a couple of these we'll just have to somehow get all the items needed for them, just like preemptively. So we need to build all the things we need for all of the sorters, for example. All of those inputs exist before we actually do any sorters, and then we can get all of those lanes out to the sorters. That seems like that's a lot of pre-planning, though, because if we wind up unlocking some new tech, right, which is very likely to happen, then we need to be able to... Sorry, this is just bugging me. Can we just upgrade all those belts? Thank you. So if we wind up unlocking, tier 3 belts, for example, and we haven't constructed the intermediate item to build those yet, then how are we going to get them in? So we need to have some plan for items to like move backwards on the belt somehow. So I guess we could just have a splitter just output back this way, and then they just loop backwards. That is sort of a nightmare and conflicts with our other solution that we had with having more than one belt of items. So if that's not an option and we just did it naturally, how would that work? And also, having these potentially go up many rows could be a problem for getting the new items all the way across. But who knows? That hopefully won't wind up being a massive issue. Hopefully we can get around that somehow by just nudging things up one more row to avoid it. And actually no, because we need to leave the extra space in for the spray coaters, then anywhere where there aren't spray coaters, we should be fine. Okay, so now what I'm thinking, though, is that we don't need the spray coaters here, right? Because everything that goes onto the belt is going to be instantly spray coated here. So that means that these breakers don't need to exist. This whole thing can be more compact as a result. And we obviously just take that out. So those breakers don't need to exist. And that means that the second row of this can just be here aligned with the splitter, which makes things easier. And then we still have enough space that these should be able to get up and over if we really need them to. Now, the other option is, like, if we build all of this just up at altitude, which we actually can't do with the splitters. Can we stack these? We can. So we can stack splitters like this, but we can't, like, just build a splitter. Like, if we try to dismantle that one, it won't let us. So the splitters have to be on ground level. Now, we could have the basic input and output belts be on level 1 instead of level 0. So if we just take that out, and then this goes up and into there. So that leaves level 0 open for everything, right? And then our... Okay, so the problem with this is if we add the second row in, then it gets a little bit complicated, but it should still be doable, right? If we have another splitter like there... Oh, and we need you to be set up to be the right splitter variant, which I don't think we can construct after the fact, but so if it's something like that, right, then we have you go down into there while you go across into there, right? So then we have all the excess from this belt plus the new stuff added in from that belt, so that works as well. And I'm probably going to need to make like a billion weird little blueprints in order to get this to all line up properly. But for now, we have the basic design, and I guess how much do we have to do? Like one proliferator per item, or number of sprays 24 times? Okay, so yes. So we need, I guess theoretically this provides a limit on how many total items can be proliferated, right? So we have a full speed belt times 24. So if we have 24 full speed belts of items, we would need to add a second lane of proliferators. That seems like that's a problem, which is far in the future to have that many. Okay, so yeah, that should be fine. Now, this belt then comes along into there, and then across forwards. So that's providing that. Then we get you attached in like that, and attached out like that. So this also is going to need a Tesla tower, which actually we don't want to squeeze back there because we want to be putting more buildings in. So the Tesla tower can be sort of just here in the middle like that. So now this is powered, it has the input and output belts. The only thing it's missing would be multiple input belts. So we want this to be able to handle like 4 different inputs, right? Because that's, I think, the max number that one of these can do. So if we have 3 belts there, and then a 4th belt in there, so that should provide us with all the inputs we need, and we just need to attach all these sorters up. And so just like that. And now you need to find a place to squeeze a power pole in. Apparently they can just fit in between the machines, so that works out very well. So now we have 4 inputs to 1 output, and that should be everything. So then we need to blueprint, create blueprint, and just grab all of that and call this bus assembler row. Alright, and then we can give this an icon
Research complete.
like that, and save blueprint. And save changes. Alright, we've done it. We have a blueprint, and we've gotten an achievement for it. Very cool. We also finished our research at like exactly that same time. So let's just throw in some more research. None of these give me anything immediately, so we're just going to keep doing research until we have to get the new type of science, at which point we'll basically just give up and just continue making this bus. Alright, so that is our assembler row, and if we just go here and... Okay, but how do we actually... Oh, double click to use. Okay, so then if we just put you in like that, then click force build. So now all of this is queued up, and it should be functional. Although it doesn't look like that spray coater got attached in properly. It looks like that spray coater was attached in wrong. Why is that? So you need to be connected on both sides, and it's not entirely surprising that one side of the spray coater broke, but it's kind of weird that both sides broke. So these can even theoretically be squeezed in closer together than this, which we shouldn't realistically need to do because we have a pretty good amount of horizontal space, but it could be a thing. It could be a thing which we want at some point. So let's grab this blueprint again, try to place it down again, and if you go in like that, then yeah, something in here is really not happy about it. Now, what if we just give you more space? If we give you more space, then it works fine. So it must just be the overlap which is causing the problem. Okay, so that's unsurprising. Now, can we just... okay, area select works differently than I thought it did, but that's fine. So we take all that stuff out, and for some reason dismantling is instantaneous, despite the fact that building you have to have the drones go out and do stuff. Okay, so if we get this blueprint in, and it overlaps like that, so just the front and the end, then it works fine. Then what we need to do is have that belt be like 2 shorter, hopefully, and then have this belt be a bunch shorter, although we still want you to have your one level of output, right? So we want you to do something like that. And actually, can we edit this somehow? Let's see here. Is there any way of editing the blueprint like in blueprint mode? No, seems not. So what we need to do is just actually new empty blueprint, new blueprint book. All right, so let's then grab that, call that our bus assembler row v2, and we can give it that same assembly machine thing, and then save those changes. And now if we open the, okay, why are these called thumbnail text new blueprint? Right, all right, so that we can fix that. So this is bus assembler row v2. Save those changes, and if we double click that one to use, now if we build you in like that, it is perfectly happy being as compact as it can go, and the belts all line up properly, and it all gets built. And if this were connected up to power, then it would have power, and if it were connected up to inputs, it would have inputs. All right, so we can go, that one just goes away. It's kind of scary that it's just a single click with no confirmation to remove a blueprint, but should be fine. Okay, so now let's just like set this up as if we were doing something, right? So we get magnetic coils there in that row, and then we can get green circuits there in that row. So we need, say, let's say like it's iron is the closest one, copper is the second closest one, magnets are the third closest one. We're gonna pretend that that's the case for now, and we actually are going to need to make a blueprint probably just for the bus as we intend it to exist, just so we don't have to fiddle around with placing all of these belts at height 1 all the time. So that goes across to there, that goes across to there. So those are theoretically going to be the 3 separate inputs for this thing that we're building, right? So we don't have that, we don't have that. We just have all of this stuff where actually this belt in our blueprint goes out to there. Oh, we built that facing the wrong way. So in our blueprint, this belt in the middle here sort of reaches out a bit for some reason. So let's just see if that's fine. So what did we said we had? We had said that the closest one was iron, then copper, then magnets. So we have this one is copper. So you get a splitter, which it doesn't like. So we are going to need a splitter in there. And that just connects across. And that connects across. Okay, and then we just have this go around and into there. Just like so. And then we have the magnets, which are going to be here. And I'm already seeing a way which we can maybe optimize this a little bit. Okay, wait. These can't squeeze in next to each other. That's a good thing to learn. Okay. So that means that instead of those being directly adjacent, this one is going to need to be back here a bit. So it doesn't break things, we just need to have a bit of spacing on where all of these things are built. So that then goes there and connects across like that. Okay, so that is fine. So that's 2 inputs, and then this is our, in this hypothetical world, first ever output. So we need to grab from there and, okay, actually there's like a belt underneath that, which we need to grab that one instead. So you're out to there. We finished another research. Very cool. So then this loops around and then feeds into our new splitter, which can then just sort of teleport it up to the second row. We don't even need it to be a splitter necessarily, but it might be handy later, as we've mentioned, for like having things go backwards if something scuffed happens. So that is that. Then for this one we need iron and copper. So we need, yeah, and so here's where things get a little bit awkward because the things are so compact. Like, we can't put the splitter in where we would necessarily want it to go. So we have our iron go, and you have to like wrap around into there somehow, which is somewhat unpleasant, but fine. And then this one, alright, so you can squeeze in pretty close to each other like that, so it's not so bad. And then you just come out around to there and then loop down that way, and then we have this, which makes the green circuits, and then its output comes out, and it doesn't do that, obviously. So its output comes out to a splitter, which is going to be somewhere in here, and it needs to not be that variant of splitter, obviously. It needs to be this variant of splitter, and we can put it there, right? And this can just, okay, no, it can't loop around like that. So this would need to loop around like that to fit in, but then at that point it's perfectly safe to just go forwards. Oh, I'm dumb. That is the wrong tile for that to be on, so this does need to be one over. And you have to manually dismantle things before you build the new variant. You can't do like you can in Factorio, where you can just overwrite it and say just dismantle anything that's in the way. You have to actually manually go through and dismantle everything. Okay, so then this goes in like that, and it's all fine. So then that belt can continue along, that belt can continue along, and just like that, we've added a couple items to the whole thing. And all of the rest of these can just progress forwards as normal. Okay, so this functions, right? It functions with 2 inputs. With 4 inputs, it might take a lot of space to get things in and out of the belt. So that is something to consider. How much space will it take? So with these 2 inputs, we're able to get it really quite efficiently. But if we were to add a 3rd one onto there, it would be like here, and a 4th one would be like there. So I think we actually, it's actually really close whether we have the capacity for 4 inputs. So let's just pretend that this was something with 4 inputs, right? So we have you would be going back into those. And this is as far back as it can be because this belt has to be there. So then at this point, we need this belt to get dismantled and squeeze in another one of you. And this belt down here also needs to go away. So one of the things which we're going to be trying to figure out is, like, in addition to being compact, how do we get this to be blueprintable? Because this is a whole lot of like finicky clicking and stuff that I have to do. And it would be really, really cool if I could get most of that. Can you control Z in this game? No, you can't. It'd be really cool if I could get most of the finicky clicking just outsourced into a blueprint so I don't have to think about it ever. Okay, so then this is another input. Then this belt is definitely going to have to be moved entirely. And then theoretically... Okay, so something to consider is if we have 4 inputs, they're not all necessarily going to be next to each other like this. And actually, I just saw a space-saving thing we can do, which is we can put the 4th one back here. So you go in like that, and you get that squeezed in. I don't know what button I clicked there. Okay, then your output needs to be backwards around that way. And is this going to work? Whether it works or not is going to be barely. So this output we need to grab from here. And grab that tiny section of belt in there. Not the one which it's snapping to, but the one which is actually useful. Okay, so we can just dismantle that, and now if we grab the one it's snapping to, it should be fine. So that goes out there and over that way. Then this one here can, like, oh, if we just barely squeeze it in and around this way, it barely works, and then from there we can get this just fed into that. So it does work with 4 inputs under these circumstances, and if we assume that it's going to be more spread out vertically along that way, then it should be easier to fit in. But it's still kind of dicey, and we are technically bleeding a tiny bit. We're actually bleeding quite a lot into the space that the next one uses. So if we were to try to put another machine in this area, we would run into pretty serious problems with that. Like, it would just kind of be awful. And that is concerning. And another thing which really stinks is that this whole system is not... Is it blueprintable? Because all of this is sort of custom designed based on, like, how far away, like, which input belt this is, which output belt it is. Like, we can't just have a thing which just we click and it connects the assembly machines up to the main bus, you know? That's not possible. Which is a bit of a nuisance. Alright, also, planetary threat is up to 63.5%, and we probably want more gun turrets, so we should head back into the base to build up some more gun turrets. Also, it's been a while since I've done any things. So, signal tower, apparently lures dark fog. I don't know if that is, like, it makes them attack faster, or if that is it makes them attack that particular spot. If it's the latter, that's fantastically useful. If it's the former, that's kind of terrible. Alright, so we need to make these. So we need iron plates and iron gear wheels. So let's grab iron gear wheels from that belt there. Iron plates from that belt there. So now we can make another 2 turrets. And then we need more of these guys. And probably more of those as well. So that lets us make another turret. Actually just grab 100 of those. That will help. And let's just cook up a bunch of turrets so that we don't have to worry about that as much. Now, last time they attacked, they were branching further along down this way than I had prepared for. So let's get a turret there and there. And then we take our belt and we just sort of wrap you around, and we need to pick up more tier 1 belts.
Replication complete.
We need to pick up more tier 1 belts, which we're using for this ammo, because we don't really need much more than that. And I thought we had bots providing tier 2 belts to us, but it seems like there's some sort of problem with that. Who knows what that is? Okay, So, now
Research.
those new gun turrets are in. Alright, so signal towers are a thing which exists now. Let's also get implosion cannon, because that's a cool sounding name. And jammer towers. It seems like it might make Dark Fog act dumb for some reason. Not sure what good that would do, but who knows. Okay, so we've got those, and then we can just get like an extra one in here, because that still seems to be like the main area under attack. And for the same reason, I have an extra one right there. And then we can run over this way, just get some of these guys on so that we have a little bit denser coverage in some of these areas. Like this corner out here could definitely use a turret, and that should be fine. I'm going to save these last two turrets for the future. So that should be fine, and we should now be perfectly safe against Dark Fog. So next up is Signal Tower. We need steel, we need wireless power, and we need crystal silicon. Alright, so we can make one of those pretty easily, assuming that this production is still going properly, and it is. So grab a bunch of those. And then we need the steel and the silicon. So the steel is going to be down this way. Just grab a whole bunch of that stuff. And now it's the crystal silicon, which is all the way down here. So we can run over this way, and here it is. So how much of that stuff did we need? Okay, so we can produce a signal tower, and then we'll have to figure out what good it does. So now we can run up this way. And is that going to be in defense? Yes, it is. So they can expand the attack range of missile turrets, which we have unlocked, but we haven't really done much of anything with. So the thing which I really care about is changing the direction of attack, right? So if we get you built in there.
You've built a signal tower. Continuous observation and research reveals
What
Dark
does it
Fog
do,
is
though?
especially sensitive to certain EM signal frequencies. You can use a signal tower to encrypt EM signals into such frequencies to lure Dark Fog.
Right, so it lets missile turrets
Also,
attack from
a
basically
signal
anywhere.
tower and the missile turrets on a
Convenient.
planet can form a data chain, making it possible for the missile turrets to attack enemies within a signal tower's range.
Alright, so what about... Alright, so periodically send signals of a specific frequency to lure Dark Fog, so it will attack signal towers. And they can also supply power as nodes to the power grid and charge Icarus. That's all cool, I guess. It doesn't really say, like, how much that actually does, though. Now, is there... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much I actually want that, and I also definitely don't know if I want that like here. Maybe it would be useful to divert them off to like a specific defensive setup somewhere else. I do want them to just be attacking relatively infrequently, just so that I don't have to deal with that as often. Now, Battlefield Analysis Base seems like something which would be useful to have, so let's grab... What was that? We needed some engines, which are conveniently right there. We needed... No, it's not that, it's this. We needed microcrystalline components and steel.
Flight mode.
So we can run over this way. And microcrystalline components are really not making it much of anywhere. We don't have enough... What is that? Glass? How many of these do I need? No, it's high purity silicon. Okay, so...
Flight mode.
Is that because we're out of silica ore up here? Yes. So we're gonna have to bring another delivery of silicon ore from that other planet at some point. For now, I should be able to just manually craft a couple of these guys. How many do I need even? In order to make one of these, I need 6, which is
Research.
12 of these. Alright, implosion cannon is... It's like an... Okay, I don't know if that's an AoE or if it just has a long range. The description is a little bit vague on that, but either way, seems fine. So now let's get Jammer Tower researching. And... Alright, we need the copper
Flight mode.
to make those as well, which we can just grab from there. And then we need one more thing, and that is steel. So we head down here, grab some of that, and we can make one of these guys.
Flight mode.
So that is that. And it should...
Replication complete.
Yes, it should be crafted now. So now we can go defense, battlefield analysis base, and you can just pop in there apparently.
You've built a battlefield analysis base. It can automatically dispatch
All right,
construction
very
drones for
cool.
constructing and repairing, and combat drones for defending. It can also analyze enemy debris
Apparently
and
just stores an
automatically
enormous
extract
amount of
useful
power
items.
for some reason.
A battlefield analysis base is indispensable for building an unmanned auto defense system.
Alright, so you do debris analysis stuff, and you repair stuff that gets damaged. So yeah, that should be all fine, hopefully. Hopefully we don't need to do much more than that. And we've got you in there. And then... Okay, let's get a couple more turrets in there, and then we will have the signal tower in this area as well, because we've got the base and everything, so that seems like a reasonable decision. So theoretically, that should lure all of Dark Fog to attack this spot where I have like 5 turrets. So that should be fine. And there are all these tabs with like 1 or 2 things in them each so far, and like there's a lot of technology which just like does nothing useful yet, as far as I'm aware. Like this whole chain here, like we can make deuterium, which does nothing. We can make titanium, which does nothing. We can make organic crystals, which do nothing. Like, I don't know, what will, like, at some point, you know, we can make photon combiners, which do nothing. At some point, we're going to have to figure out what research we need to do to make all of those useful so that we can do anything with them. For now...
Flight mode.
Now it should be fine, though. So, let's see, what was I... Oh, right, there was some problem with our drone delivery thing. So we have 185 conveyor belts. we've got no logistics bots in there. We've got seemingly no logistics bots at all. But we do have 100 logistics distributors and more being crafted. So I guess that's fine. I guess that is fine. So hopefully that should be winding down soon. Although, because of the lack of whatchamacallit, the lack of silicon, everything down this row is kind of slow. Okay, so let's pop the star map open and see. The hive is like down there, which is conceivably close to where we're going. Like that's, I don't know what the range is as far as like how close you can get to that thing, like whether you have to actually be right on top of it or if it'll blow you up for being in the same quarter of the solar system as it. But I think we want to be a little bit cautious for now. So what that means is
Flight mode.
let's spend some more time getting this set up. So step one is to get you just connected across all of this stuff, because we're going to need power over here eventually, and that's not the most efficient way of placing those, but it should be fine. So now we don't have to see those annoying warning lights saying that there's no power, because now we have power. Okay, so we've got all that. And now we need to start by getting resources into this. And we really need to work out how to blueprint like the main line. So we can obviously just blueprint straight lines without any of these on them, but it's gonna be annoying to get the other. Alright, so I do have an idea though. So if we go out to here, so we want this to be the right length. So that is as long as this goes, right? So that... Okay, we actually need you to be up there at altitude 1. So we've got that. And then... Okay, how about we start with like a row of a bunch of these, right? So when we're just expanding the bus out, we're going to need something like this. And let's just copy paste that, and you will be bus empty lanes, and the thumbnail text will be bus empty lanes. And then this will be conveyor belt mark 2. Save blueprint. Alright, so now, if we need to just like pop a bunch of bus lanes down, we can use that. And then what we need is, we just need a very tiny blueprint, which I hope this works the way I want it to. So we take all that out, we put in the splitter, and then you obviously connect up to all of this. And now, if we blueprint this. How do I... what am I doing? Okay. Holding middle mouse has unexpected implications. So we just need to select that. And then this is a bus lane splitter, which is going to have the thumbnail text of bus lane splitter. And then this will show a splitter. Save blueprint, save changes. All right. So now the moment of truth. If we go to blueprint mode, we grab this, and we just pop you down like that. Then we force to build. That does nothing. All right. Wonderful. Is there... There's got to be some sort of setting, right? Let's go into settings. It would be under gameplay. Is there a setting for, like, dismantling things? Let's see here. No, there isn't a setting for... Maybe it's under miscellaneous. No, it's not. It's not a setting. Maybe there's a keybind for it that I don't know about. For, like, overwrite previous constructions. I don't know. Build conveyor up, down. Yeah. There's got all of these. Okay. Automatically lay foundations where needed in the blueprint is space. That's useful. But, yeah, there doesn't seem to be a convenient way of getting a blueprint to overwrite things. Which means that if we want to do that, we just need to take that out, then build the new one in like that. Which is annoying, but not the end of the world. It's still probably easier than doing it manually. So now we take all of that stuff out. And okay, so if we want to actually build this as a real thing, step one is, I think, to dismantle most of this at least. Well, step one is to get belts in for the raw resources. Now, I'm not sure whether I want to have arc smelters on the bus or past the bus. Let's see. I guess on the bus makes some sense because we're going to want to do proliferator-based things with them. But if we have them just before the main bus, then that means we don't have to put iron ore on the bus, which is useless. Okay, let's have the smelters be sort of on the bus, but sort of not, I guess. So we just need we need this. You get a belt lane. You get a smelter. And our recipes here, these are all 1-to-1s, right? There's nothing in here that you could ever do that's something else than a 1-to-1, so that is fine. So you go like that, and then you go up like that, and we still get the spray coater. This time for these we need a spray coater on both sides, right? So hang on. I want the spray coaters to all be aligned. So this needs to be rotated like this and lined up like that. And then the input belt also needs a spray coater for these because this is the first time we're seeing these items. Alright, how does that need to line up? That needs to be a bit further down still. Right, so we go spray coater like that. And then we can attach that belt all the way across, and then it's fine. So then these are just connected in to each of those. And then the inputs and outputs are going to have to do their things, but this will be the setup for the arc smelters. So we get all of these guys in, and you're going to
Insufficient
need...
materials.
We can't fit these inside, so we're going to have to put them... We can't fit these in between the furnaces, so we're going to have to fit them out like that. And then we will bring that down to there, connect that up to there. And does this need anything more? No, this should be fine to blueprint. Oh wait, no, it does need the sorters. So you get sorters, which just go straight across like that, nothing fancy. And this should theoretically be fine. Right? We have sorters, we've got power, we've got input and output. The belts should be able to get out to the bus easily. Yeah, that should be fine now. So we just copy paste this entire thing, and you are going to be bus smelter lane with the thumbnail text of bus smelter lane and the blueprint of showing the arc furnace wherever that is. Am I blind? Where is the arc furnace gone? Oh, there it is. Arc smelter. Save blueprint. Save changes. Okay, so that should be good for getting like iron and whatever on. And we are going to need you. Actually, how do these recipes even work? It is 1-to-1 for iron and copper. It's 2-to-1 for silicon. So we should be able to get a full belt of iron and copper on pretty easily. And it's just going to take a bunch of furnaces to do it. But that's fine. So this is all set up. So we need to get a couple of these guys in, right? So we need to do something like this. And does that building work properly? Yeah, so that all connects across correctly. So that can be iron, and this can be copper. And we're going to need another lane of these. There's got to be some faster way of doing this. Okay, right, so that's running into the whole spacing problem. And this is so annoying. Okay, so we need to look carefully. Auto place foundation. And that's all fine now. So then this is going to be magnets, which are another thing which we need a lot of. And yeah, apparently this is just the optimal way of placing foundation, and there's just no way of doing that manually without enormous effort. Alright, so we have iron, we've got copper, we've got magnets. Let's get another one in for for the graphite or the silicon smelting or something. I don't know. Just get a bunch of these guys in. We're going to need them all eventually. So you can be high purity silicon. And then what other recipes even are there? There's like steel and what else? Can I just see? Is there some easy way of telling all the recipes that go in there? There's steel, there's like glass, but a lot of those are basically intermediary steps, not like these, which are ore processing. Right, so we have silicon processing done, we have iron and copper done. We might need to get stone bricks. Yeah, stone bricks should go in there. That's something which we need. Alright, put it there, and get the foundation in. So all of that will be built. And you will be stone bricks. Alright. Now, there's still so much more, though, that we need for these. So let's just, I guess we just keep her going. This is going to be so many things that are like kind of on the smelting lanes, but aren't. So we have iron, copper, silicon, stone bricks, magnets, and the big things we're missing now are like glass and energetic graphite and steel, which has to go, it takes that, so it's going to be slightly different. So let's have you be energetic graphite. And we'll call this good for now as far as smelting is concerned. So now we have to actually make all of these into actual bus lanes. So we take you out. We get... This is not easier than building it naturally, I think.
Research.
You go into there. We've got the jammer tower, whatever that does. And there's like fancy precision drones. Let's get hydrogen fuel rod. That seems fun. Okay, so for now we have not got enough belts yet. So we're going to need to run back up to pick up some more tier 2 belts, which I don't know if we want to be using the tier 1 belts at all for this. Hey, look, drones. What are those doing? They are doing something. It's unclear what. But this has stopped working, so we're just making drones now. So it says like 44 of those. Now if I just grab some and put them into the belts, so now those guys are going to be doing their resupply. And they don't seem to have successfully given me any belts. I'm still sitting at 0, despite the fact that they seem to be doing something. They're doing something, but I'm not sure what. So that is set to 300. Oh wait, I see. They're in that.
Insufficient materials.
But why do I have to do that? That just seems like a lot of extra steps to have them in my inventory. I don't like that at all. I would much rather just have them output into the inventory directly instead of putting it into that where I then have to grab it. Yeah, that's weird. Alright, whatever. It's not a big deal. So now we fly back down here, and we should be able to get like those 2 extra belts that never got finished. So there we go. Alright, now you... What are you... Why are you weirdly diagonal like that? I didn't even know that that was a possibility. Why did you do that? Can you do a normal path? Okay, and now we have to grab that. Okay, there. That's a normal path now. So that is iron plates onto the bus. Then we have copper plates here. And those go onto the bus. Okay, so I guess it's not so bad if we just build these in first. Like that goes there. Click force build. It does weird things, but we can just connect that up. So then this input there just loops around that. So that's copper into the belt, theoretically. And then we have magnets third, and you get a splitter like here, I think. Yeah, we're gonna have to keep track of like where exactly the main bus even is. So that would connect across to there. And I think the way I connected these up is consistent with the way I designed those, so we should be fine on that front. And then we need to just... Oh wait, no, not bus smelter lane, that was the wrong one. We need to just keep doing this for all of these. So you get one there, you get one there, you get one there, and place foundations. Okay, so if this works out properly, that just goes into there, you go into there, you go into there, and that's all relatively easy. Okay, then we just have to run these belts a bit forwards, just actually an insanely long distance forwards. I forgot one of the things I really don't like about main bus designs, when I can possibly avoid them, is the sheer quantity of space that they take up can get out of hand very quickly. I mean, it's not like a deal breaker. Ultimately, they're still worth doing a lot of the time, but it is a bit annoying sometimes. Okay, so this is our smelter area, and it's got all of its stuff there. So now we just need to get the items, so that we just need to get the ores over to here, and then they should start doing the smelting, and we can expand them out to be a full belt. And then, did we set these guys up correctly? So you need copper plates and magnets, and you take from that one and that one, which is correct. And you are green circuits, and we set you up to take from 4 inputs as a test, but among those are iron plates, which goes out there, and copper plates, which goes out there. So the speed per assembler might be an issue, but these are sorter Mark IIs. They can probably handle it, and if not, we can just have more assemblers. So this should be functional. If we put iron ore and copper ore in, then we should start producing those. So we just need to, I guess, technically get those ores into here. Also, how is Dark Fog going? It's 99.8%. That's going to be any second now, and ideally they will be attacking up north by the signal tower and everything, and just running straight into that. I really hope they don't come down this way. Oh, okay, they decided to come down this way. That's incredibly rude of them. I would really rather they not... Oh wait, no, they seem to be going further away from me. Okay, that makes me think they're just like on the other side of the planet and heading around this way. So I think they're coming towards the right spot.
Flight mode.
So let's fly up there and see what happens. They should be attacking the signal tower exclusively. And they seem to be mostly doing so. And the base is doing repairs. And it all seems to be going fine. Alright, yeah, so that was much more under control than Dark Fog attacks normally are. And we got 2 iron ingots out of it, which is something, I guess. And we're also within range to get resupplies of belts, which is handy. Okay, and now they're going directly to my inventory there, I think, unless I'm getting resupplies of logistic spots, which seems to actually be what's happening. So we need to do something about that, because I don't want to have just 100 logistic spots wasting their time in my inventory, but it's fine. So we got 2 iron ingots. We've defeated all of that attack. That's pretty good. Alright. I think this is actually a pretty good spot to wrap up the stream. We have our new factory down here, which is starting to be a thing that exists. And we just need to get raw resources in, which, to be honest, I haven't spent enough time thinking about how exactly we're going to do that, but it shouldn't be terribly difficult. Like, worst case, we can just have, like, temporary bus lanes up there that do it.
Research complete.
And we finished hydrogen fuel rods, and then once we've got all the raw resource processing on the smelters, then we just need to start adding more assembly lanes in and getting all the different recipes done, and that should be pretty solid. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap up there for the day. Thanks everyone for hanging out as usual. We are going to be doing Factorio again tomorrow, where we are still working on making legendary versions of all the basic buildings for production, and then once we finish that, we're going to be doing science stuff. So if you're interested in late game Factorio, I'm doing pretty good there. Otherwise, we will be back here in Dyson Sphere program on Thursday, where we will be just continuing to chip along. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, so if you're interested in following, that's when I'll be around. And that's about it. I will see you guys next time. Bye.